Nancy Thames, welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. Thank you for reaching out to me, folks. By the way, I apologize for this echo. Hopefully, it might just be a 1 minute circuit through retrograde glitch. You'll have to deal with it throughout the interview. I'm sorry. But anyhow, Nancy sent me her bio, and she said yes, she wanted me to have her as a guest on the show, so I granted her wish. I was able to do that, and thank you, Nancy, for liking all my Facebook posts that I've been doing. It's great that you did that for me. Special. So you sent your bio. I will post that bio when I upload this to YouTube and Contactee TV. Contactee TV, I don't know if I'll be able to upload the whole bio because there isn't enough text clip. YouTube, it's much longer, so I'll have to do a little bit of that. So, but still, why don't you tell us your life story from a primary source perspective regarding what you experienced that caused you to do the stuff you do. I do not have allergionitis. I don't interrupt my guests. Well, not often. Unless there's something that needs to be interrupted. That's fair. I try
that's
to
fair enough.
So I'll put myself on mute while you're speaking, and then I will try to guide us to discuss the important questions. So without further ado, I will put myself on mute. Tell us what you experienced before.
Okay, my name is Nancy Thames. I'm a lifelong contactee with interdimensional beings and positive extraterrestrials. My first conscious memory started at around age 2, and throughout my life, it has just continued up until now. I still have, and what I have is face-to-face physical contact. They have always sent 3 grays to come and get me, and these grays are of a hybrid nature. And one of them is a female, and I'm bonded with her, and she's a reddish brown color, and she is the one that I interact with. She telepathically talks to me and is the one that holds my hand. And also when I was very young, they always had a handheld device, and when they would come, they would take this handheld device and run it from my head to my toes to my head, up and down. And if I was still in my bed, I would start to feel my body would start to float up, elevate up off the bed. And as I would look down, I would see my bed was empty. So this was physically happening to me. It was not a dream. It was not an out-of-body experience. And I would be holding her hand. And then as I would hold her hand, we would continue on, and we would go up through a roof, through the attic. We would go through a door or through a window. And I used to constantly think, how in the world is this happening? At first, I didn't really pay attention to it, but as I got older, I did, because in our science and in my school, human beings can't do these things. So it was very confusing to me. And when I would question, she would just look at me and not answer me. So I guess basically now I realized that they were waiting for me to be at an appropriate age that I would even understand, because it was not anything I could even begin to understand, and nothing I need to try to explain to any other human at that point in my life. So all my life, these things have been happening, and it was very hard for me. I had what I would tell my parents and my family. There were beings in my room. They would say, wow, that's some kind of dream you had, and just kind of laugh. So I learned very quickly, this is just not something that people like to talk about. And then, of course, if I continued to talk about it, my family would tell me, stop talking about that. This is not something that people want to hear. They have locked people up or put them into mental institutions for talking and having experiences like this. So I learned to keep peace in the family and keep everybody happy, just not to talk it. So I suppressed it for a long, long time. And it wasn't until I got into my 20s that I realized that this is real. This is real. And I realized that what I was having happen, other people were experiencing visits with extraterrestrials, but not the kind that I was, because my visits were of positive nature. And when I got onto a craft, I no longer saw the grays that got me there. I was around interdimensional beings. I was around Nordics, tall grays, aquatic beings, other beings that look humanoid, but I don't necessarily know what they were. So, and I never saw the grays until time to return home. And they're always, and so now that I've gotten older, I understand what some of that meant. So I understand grays always travel in threes. One being who's bonded to me, and I guess the other two who I don't really have never been telepathic with and had no physical interactions other than their presence. So I think they're just kind of there to back her up for what she's doing. And I know that none of them are very vocal. When I say vocal, I don't mean talking like we do, but they're very task oriented, and she's very limited in her conversations telepathically, and there is no inflection and no, for me, there is no recognition of whether they're male or female, but I do know that she is a female because I can sense her frequency. And I also know now that what they were doing with the handheld device is that because we're in a 3D world and unable to travel like they do because they're from a different dimension, they were changing me from 3D up into their vibrational level, up into their frequency, so that I could go and travel as they do. So they were changing my frequency, elevating it, and that's why I was able to go through the ceiling or through a door or through a window. So, and I've just basically learned a lot of things because it's been happening for so long in my life that I've asked a lot of questions and they've given me a lot of answers, but it took a long time. I went through different stages of it being fun and not being afraid to when I became a teenager and then started being influenced by the world around me, from what my family were saying and from what other people and from books that I would pick up at bookstores and things. Then I started to become afraid. And when I started to get afraid, the experience changed from it started being less consciousness. They would allow me to be conscious for as long as I could maintain without fear or anxiety. But the minute that I start showing fear and anxiety, they are telepathic. And whatever I sense or feel, they feel 10 times the effect. They feel it, and they do not like this feeling. So they would simply tap me on the head and put me in a trance-like state where I'm fully functional, but without all the anxieties and without all the being upset, scared. It's just like a vegetated type state, but you are functional. And the problem with that, though, is when you come back, your memories, for me at least, they were kind of fragmented. It wasn't a fluid conscious memory like when I was younger. So I figured out that I had to learn to deal with my fear. And the longer that I could stay conscious, the longer my experience would be, and the more that I would mentally be able to retain as I came back home. And so basically it's just a long process of, they were allowing me time to mature into this and giving me time to understand spiritually what was happening and just things of this nature. So it wasn't an easy path, but now that I'm older, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So I'll let you go ahead and ask me some things, and then I can start back on something if you want.
Thank you. Great episode. So annoying.
I don't hear the echo.
Well, maybe it won't be there when we upload this. So anyway, and any idea these grays, where they come from, what star system, and what the molecular think of these as being biological entities without souls, but that's taking into account that there are many different species of them. There are ones that could essentially be angelic and just happen to look like crazy, even though they have angelic qualities. So, any idea where these come from, what level of consciousness they are, what star system, and all the rest of it?
These grays are a hybrid, and they were designed by the interdimensionals who are humanoid but not human, have human-like features, and are much, much taller than us. They were designed by the tall grays and the interdimensionals because extraterrestrials and interdimensionals have a problem with the density on Earth. They can do it, they can come down here and do it, but it's not ideal for them. So they created this hybrid race, and these are of a reddish brown color, and they are biological. They are not robots, they're biological, but they are hybrid. And their DNA was tweaked so that they basically, that is their job, is to come down and get contactees and do the legwork for the interdimensionals and the tall grays and the other ETs up there. So they have souls. All extraterrestrials and interdimensionals have souls, and they all believe in a creator source. So they're very task oriented, and there is no negotiating. You know, that's why I think a lot of people think they are robots, because they don't express any emotions. And like I said, when I have telepathic communication with them, I cannot sense male or female. However, I have been bonded with that particular female gray since birth, and I know, I just know. She and I are very, very close, and when we're physically standing waiting to go somewhere, we play with each other's fingers. I touch her skin. She feels like a dolphin. You know, and she makes sure that I'm okay, and she makes sure I get in bed. And, you know, she doesn't go overboard, but there's definitely love and compassion, but just not in a human way of showing it. I guess is the best way to put it.
Yes, and the idea that when ETs make contact with you, the reason they're able to make contact with you is because of all the soul contracts, the level of consciousness at which you're vibrating, they have the ability to meet you at that point in time and space that they're meeting you, because they are another version of you, and they that's the reason they're meeting you. They're another version of you, and there's a soul contract somewhere out there that says that you're supposed to meet them at that particular point within the acknowledged illusion of time and space. So with that being said, do these ETs actually look at it that way, or do they actually say, well, maybe that's not necessarily the appropriate way of looking at it, because in the end, no two people are alike. And well, a good example of this, Brad Johnson channels Patronus. He was, I don't remember if he was channeling Patronus at a specific time that he said this, but somebody asked, what is Lucifer? And he said, Lucifer is you. And then he went into how well consciousness works. Lucifer is you. That doesn't answer anything. It has, except the fact that no two things are alike, then there has to be a difference somewhere.
Yeah.
So JT's explained this seeming contradiction.
Well, in my case, when I was in my 20s and I witnessed seeing my two sons taken for the very first time, and I was very, very upset because they allowed me to watch and witness it, but they did not let me be a part of it. As a matter of fact, they put me in a sleep paralysis where I could not speak or move. So I physically saw them take my two young boys, and I was very, very upset. Now, looking back, I realized they could have easily have done that without me even knowing. So it was done intentionally for a reason and a purpose, and now I understand. At the time I did not. But at that time, I demanded for face-to-face, and I demanded information on why this was happening to me. What does it mean? What is the purpose? So the female gray came to get me with the other two, and they took me aboard a craft, and I went before a group of elders. And these elders were they were interdimensionals, and they were all of different races. And they told me that I had made a decision before becoming a human being to come here and be here at this particular time for humanity to help assist and help humans to understand we're not alone in the universe, and the reasons why they're here at this particular time. And at the time, they didn't tell me all the reasons. They just told me that I had made a choice and I had made an agreement and that I was here on my own free will. And as I got older, they would be a part of my life and more would be revealed to me. And that's basically what has happened. So I do know I was an interdimensional being, and I agreed to come here and have the human experience, and so did my children. And I know that I still have family there, and when I go on craft, they're standing. I call them peers, but there's a group of people, and some are my family because they live much longer lives, and this is just a human experience, which is a very short experience compared to any other beings throughout the universe. So I know that I have family there waiting on me, and it's really strange because a lot of times it's almost as if I'm afraid to make eye contact with them, because just what I feel with the female gray and just what I feel with the interdimensionals that interact with me doing my checkups and teaching me things. It's such a strong love and bond. It's incredible. So I can imagine once I see my true family, that would be really hard for me. So I think that they protect me in a sense because they expect me to enjoy my human experience here, because it's just as important. They want me to, it's just as important to have my human experience here as it is to be an interdimensional. And I do know that when I leave this planet, that's my home. We'll be back with them. Yeah.
All right, here's a hard question. You said what the people have actually told you. Do not talk about this stuff. You can get in prison or thrown in a mental institution. Now, everybody's got their own response to that. Some people will actually cower and start talking about this because they fear that. I, on the other hand, my response if someone tells me that is, well, then I look forward to getting thrown into prison and a mental institution, and I don't give a shit about my reputation. You got problems. You're the one who's got problems. The sacrifices and the trials and tribulations you're going to go through in life are not worth the hassle. If you believe that,
exactly.
Shame on you for believing that.
Well, when I was until I got to my 20s and I lived under the roof of my family, I obeyed, and I did not want to put them through any stress, which apparently they thought it would. So I kept my mouth shut. But when I got out in my 20s and on my own, then I started branching out and really soul searching, trying to figure out who I am, because obviously this is not something that happens to everybody. So I wanted to basically figure out who I truly am, because I realized I'm here for a different reason, and it's not what the world around me has. I'm not the Nancy the world around me has turned me into. I am a person that came here with a purpose and a mission, and so it took me a long time to figure it all out. But once I did, and I'll have to say this, about 2 years ago, the interdimensionals, and they gave me a Kundalini awakening. And when that happened, that was the main thing, that it opened my subconscious up into my human consciousness, and all things were revealed to me. And a lot of it I already knew, which they told me I already knew, but because of my human mind, I was questioning it, because in our world, they tell us all these things are not right, but now I understand we have been programmed since the day we were born to not know who we are, not to know our true origins, not to understand things about our planet. And we've been lied to about so many things. And that's when I decided I am who I am, like it or not. And I'm happier than I've ever been in my whole life, because I truly know who I am. And that was such a burden off of me. There's nothing worse in the whole world is not being able to be who you are. It was horrible. Yeah.
Thank you. And what year were we? I know time's an illusion, but what year are we talking about regarding when this contact happened? Because everybody,
well, for me, it started at birth, and my first conscious memories are around 2 years old, 3 years old, and it's happened all through my life, different experiences. So I have been around a lot of different beings. I've been, had experiences with them, and what I'm talking about is physical. They literally come to get me and take me by the hand, and we go. And the last time that I was physically with them was in September of this past September. They wanted my son and I, who has experiences like I do, and he gets downloads and all kinds of things. They wanted us to go to Mexico, so he got us tickets, and we went to Mexico, and they came to visit us every single night while we were at. We flew into Mexico City and then took a shuttle ride up to it's called San Jose del Pacifico, and it's up on the mountain. And they wanted us to meet these indigenous tribe people called the Zapotec, and they're also called the people of the clouds. And they're as old as the Mayans and the Incas. And they wanted us to specifically meet them because they are very eco-friendly. And they were on the verge of ascension, and it fell through because their younger generation did not want to maintain their culture and their ways of living, and so they all left. So basically it's a dying race, and they are a beautiful eco-friendly culture that understand their connection with nature and with the planet and with the universe that we as human beings seem to have lost, because of our programming and because of our materialistic ways. So we have forgot that we had a connection, because they wanted me to go up there, and my son went hiking out in the woods with these indigenous people and spent a day with them. I physically did not do that, but they took me out into these dense forests, and they took their hands and went like this, and they said, everything is alive. Everything is alive. And then they showed me visions of the trees talking and communicating, plants talking and communicating. And they told me everything on this planet was put here and created for all of us, the plants, the trees, the water, the air, human beings. We are all connected, and we are all one. What one does affects all. So whatever we do affects everything. So when we started playing with nuclear weapons, not only would it wipe us out, but we never stop to think about what it does to our planet. It disturbs the balance of nature. It would destroy so many different things. It will also ripple out into space and affect the universe, because we are all one, which includes extraterrestrials and interdimensional. So they wanted me to understand and tell people our planet is a living conscious being. All planets are living conscious beings. All plants, animals, and trees are living conscious beings. And basically, all these things, our air, our water, are living conscious beings. All these things have been waiting for humans to reach a higher level of consciousness and realize our connection and realize that we need to come together in unity as one. And that has what has been going on for eons. Is there is a dark force or dark government, elites, cabal, Illuminati, some negative extraterrestrials that have worked together to keep humanity separated, because the reason they did that was to keep us at a lower consciousness level. They never wanted us to reach higher consciousness and understand our place in the cosmic realm, understand where we come from, understand our uniqueness, understand that there's so much in our DNA that is not even activated because they put toxins in our air, our water, our food. Everything has poisons and toxins in it, and it was to keep our pineal glands crystallized and to keep us dumbed down. So basically, they've been waiting for us to reach a level of higher consciousness, and that's what's happening around the world today. People are waking up.
Yes, and the fact that they, the powers that still have some control, they are poisonous and all. But one little thing that seems to fly in the face of what someone said, Andrew Barks is the Akashic Records reader and one of my most common sources on my show, said in at least one interview that I know that he said the malevolent chemtrail agenda came to an end in 2017. Oh, really? Well, then why in the world were so many chemtrails sprayed in the sky before that recent solar eclipse that we saw on April 8th? In fact, when I was in Carbondale, luckily the chemtrails disappeared before the eclipse happened, so there was no blurriness in the sky to obscure it. But actually, in the hours before the eclipse, when I was in Carbondale, it was the hot spot for that eclipse. The crisscross point of that eclipse happened in 2017 August. That was the only you could see both eclipses. There were a lot of chemtrails sprayed in the sky in the hours before the eclipse came up. And fly in the face of Andrew Barks said that the chemtrails agenda came to an end in 2017. Well, is it possible that the chemtrails that are happening now, they're happening, but somehow, some way, the bad things have been taken out of those chemtrails, so those chemtrails are essentially no more. The ones we see now are no more dangerous than water vapor.
What would be the purpose of water vapor?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no purpose.
It don't make sense, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, but you have to understand, humans at a lower level of consciousness are easier to control and manipulate. So, but I think we're finally reaching a level, or what the interdimensionals and extraterrestrials told me is that once they realize that humanity is starting to wake up, that's when they started coming here in great numbers in motherships, and they are surrounding our planet. And they pretty much told the negative extraterrestrials that's had some treaties with government, they told them to stop doing what they're doing, to leave humanity alone. And I think that there's not as many abductions, or really not any, but some people says that there still is. I don't think there is, but I don't know everything and don't claim to. But they were asked to stop and leave us alone because the interdimensionals and positives are here, and they are spreading frequencies around our planet with unity, love, peace, and hoping to help us raise our consciousness.
Yes, helping us to raise our consciousness. In fact, in your bio, it says that they're here to do that. But perhaps you could make sense of something. I've brought this up many times in my show, and it's never going to get old. That is the question of when do they have the ability to interfere to help us? Before you answer that question for me, there's a little story here I need to get into to make my point.
Okay.
Anybody who's familiar with the story of Spider-Man would know that Peter Parker became Spider-Man after he was bit by a radioactive spider, but he decided to use his powers to become a superhero when he was in an arena using his powers to win fighting matches, and then when he witnessed a robber steal money from someone in the arena, one of the people running the arena, and when the police couldn't help us stop that guy, he just stood there and let them get away as his way of showing his displeasure to the human race. Well, the police officer after the book out of it said, with your powers, you could stop that guy in a heartbeat. Spider was like, hey, that's your job, pal. I just live on the streets. That serves your right for the way you guys have been treating me. And we found out that was a mistake. That same night he let the crook get away, his uncle Ben had been murdered. And when he tracked the murderer to the warehouse, he discovered to his horror that the murderer was the same guy who he let get away. And you're like, yeah, if I killed him, I stopped the guy, I'm going to still be alive. The reason I bring that story up is I actually think that maybe it's not such a bad idea for us to criticize our space brothers and tell them that you deserve the blame for the suffering that's happened to humanity, because you have the power to shut down the powers that be in a heartbeat, and the fact that you're not doing that means that we need to blame you for all the trouble that's happened on Earth. Well, I have a response from someone at a galactic Conference in Orlando about some guy who said he was a masquerading as a human to be at the conference and explain it. I'll get into that after you say it. But if you were to actually tell the space brothers, you deserve the blame for all the suffering of humanity because you have the power to stop the powers of being, you're not doing it. Do you know what their response?
Absolutely, I do. First of all, all human beings are here on free will. We're here on a soul contract. We're all here for different reasons. I had an agreement with the interdimensional. So for me, they could come down and fix me health-wise if they elect to, and if I say, okay, please do. But they cannot interfere. There's a cosmic law that says that they cannot interfere. All humans are here. This being on Earth is an experience. It is a learning experience. Everybody's here to experience and to learn, reaching a spiritual level, a spiritual evolutionary stage. So they cannot interfere because of the contracts that we have all made in an agreement in the cosmic realm that they cannot interfere. So when they get the opportunity and it's the right thing to do, they will interfere, but they cannot overstep that boundary. And they excommunicated that one race and a few other races, that rogue races that did abductions on people. What happened was, and they're not any longer part of the collective consciousness, because when they did that, they overstepped the cosmic law. Because if humans are being here of free will, we have to make mistakes in order to learn. It's just like a butterfly. You could stand there watching the butterfly, and if a little boy is like, oh, I can't wait, I can just help this butterfly get out of the cocoon. He doesn't realize by helping it, he's actually killing it, because the butterfly needs to come out of the cocoon to get the muscle strength and the brain, and also to learn his mind how to struggle and go through things and survive. So they look at us in the same way. They cannot fix everything for us, because we have to learn from our mistakes. Just like our children, when they get in trouble, you have to scold them and punish them, and they have to suffer the consequences. Same for us. It's not because they don't want to, it's because we are here to learn. And if they do everything for us, then we'll never change, and we'll never learn, and then the whole reason of being here is a spiritual learning experience.
Well, thank you, but I can't help but notice that nowhere in your response was the word fractal mentioned, and I bring that up because fitting, I have my Memberbot set shirt on for right now. That's fractals all the way. I like to wear this shirt all the time, not just because the Memberbot set melts turquoise, which is good. Anyway, I bring the fractal thing up because after I brought this question up, why should we not believe our space brothers on the suffering humanity that ET that claimed he was an Arcturian who was masquerading as a human at the conference actually basically tapped me on the shoulder after I asked that, and he said, "You step aside for a moment. I'm going to ask you to answer your question for you." And I was like, "Oh, good. I can't wait to hear this." And the Arcturian human told me the nature of reality is a fractal in nature, and we cannot interfere with fractal. And I then asked him, "Oh, really? Well, when the powers that be staged Fukushima and poisoned humanity with radiation, no, you guys didn't have the fractal as a problem when that happens. How come the fractal is a problem now when it wasn't a problem when Fukushima happened?" I think his answer was basically, well, the powers that be first stepped their bound to that point, and letting them get away with Fukushima would itself disrupt the fractal. So we had how to intervene at that point, but we could not just intervene at the time like you insist that we do, because it would disrupt the fractal. Well, you never mentioned the fractal in your explanation. How does this tie in with what I said, if you could maybe draw some sort of...
Well, see, they don't talk to me about fractals or anything like that. What they talk to me is in a language that I totally understand, which is they simply cannot overstep the human boundary, and that we are here and there's a cosmic law that they cannot overstep. You know, and I hate to say this, but from what they've showed me in visions and what they've told me, sometimes humanity, we have to suffer and pull ourselves up to learn, because if we don't learn, that's the whole purpose of us being here. We have to figure these things out. We were given a brain and intellect. We have to figure these out on our own. They cannot do everything for us. We're smart, we're intelligent, and we're going to get smarter and more intelligent. And as we do, we will, our evolutionary stage will rise. And just like they did, they went through this billions of years ago. This is nothing new to them. It's only new to us. So they, it's like you have to learn to crawl before you can walk. Same thing with us. We have to go through these stages and learn, and they cannot fix everything for us. And they're not going to ever fix it. Nobody's going to come down here and save us. That's not, people think, well, oh, they're going to come down and save us. That's not how the universe works at all. They are here to assist and help us. We have to want to help ourselves. We have to reach a higher consciousness and realize we're not alone in the universe. Realize that we have a lot of things that we need to change. And they're only going to assist. They're not going to jump in and take charge or wipe anything out. And nothing happens overnight. We have to be willing and participate in that.
Well, there seems to be some ET interference when it comes to deciding when humanity is willing to hear something. There was there's the story allegedly of that Israeli space guy.
I remember him.
Yeah, Donald. I shouldn't say his name, but he wanted to tell the whole world that ETs exist, and he was actually told by the ETs, "Don't do it, humanities."
That's not true.
Oh, really? You're saying
that's not true. Yes, absolutely. This misinformation, and that's basically why I'm here, is to clear up all this misinformation. All these things are done to keep drama, to keep fear, to keep people uneducated and not be aware of the world that's going on around us. Interdimensionals and extraterrestrials are here. They are not hiding from us. They are here. We are simply in a 3D world, and we can't see them up in our skies, but they are our skies is teeming with them, and our galaxy is teeming with them. There are extraterrestrials living on all the planets out there. We just simply can't see it with our 3D eyes. And as we reach higher consciousness and leave 3D, our awareness will start to open up, and we will start to realize and see plants and flowers and things do communicate. They will start to see these things. We'll start to see more things in our skies. It's just like some of us can already see these things, but some people just simply cannot because they have it blocked. So they're just at a different frequency. Everything about changing is reaching higher frequency, higher vibrations, higher consciousness. And dimensions are not physical places, it's higher consciousness. And they're all there. It's just kind of like we don't see it, but they're just kind of like right here on top of us. But there's life going on all around us.
Yes, and the idea which people like Corey Good, was he lying or was he not lying? Well, that's kind of beside the point. He
was lying.
How I'm going to actually give you the chance to.
Well, first of all, he tries to humanize extraterrestrials and galactics and all that. First of all, there is no humanizing a race of beings that is a billion years ahead of us. There is no currency. There is no negativity. Through their evolution, they have risen above all that. They have no need for these kind of things. There is no technology. They are the technology. They don't use, fuels, propulsion, all these different things like we do. Their consciousness, their crafts are living beings, and they have a consciousness. When a pilot who is trained to be a pilot, and his DNA, they are bonded, just like I'm bonded with the gray. They are bonded. Nobody else can fly that craft. When the pilot gets in the craft, the consciousness to me, the pilot tells the craft where it wants to go, bam, they go, just like that. Just like that. and it's just higher consciousness. There is not a word that technology like we see technology does not exist a billion years from now. It is all in consciousness, in frequency and vibrations.
Thank you. And before you said he was lying, he has asserted in his talks that most ETs actually do believe humanity cannot handle the truth to the point where people won't be able to get out of bed in the morning. And
that's not true.
All right. Well, okay. Well, hold on just a minute here. Because is the Akashic record reader. He gives out insights every so often in his emails, and one of the ones that he sent that I think was notable was one called the future, question mark, after the future. He said that there actually was an alternate timeline where timeline genocide of sorts happened in 2004, where everything that was suppressed was revealed. Basically, the media came out and actually said, okay, all the contactees, all the 9/11 truthers, all the people who were trying to defraud the world from the news, they were all right. You have no choice but to acknowledge they're right. Here's evidence that shows that they were right. And you know what happened after the media did that? Society fell apart. Marcus actually said people stopped living their lives. He didn't elaborate. He didn't say whether they committed suicide because they couldn't handle the truth or something like that, but he did actually say that people did stop living their lives because they were so in shock about lied to for so long. And that he said that happened in the timeline in 2004. Do you have any comment about that?
Well, here's the beautiful part of all this. We are going through an ascension. The world around us is changing, and we are going to change with it, whether we realize it or not, because it's such a gradual, beautiful thing, and it's created in a design that it doesn't freak us out like that. There is no human understanding to what their ability and capabilities are. So what's going to happen is that all of humanity, all humans, all of us are going to reach higher consciousness, and it's going to start off and then it's going to expand, and we are going to learn to be better human beings. We are going to learn to be more positive human beings. We're going to learn that negative news and all this media and things no longer serve us. There's no need for it. You're going to learn that certain people that don't wake up as quick as you don't dislove them. You just simply walk away because they will no longer serve your needs, because when in your reality, you are moving forward. You're becoming more positive and a happier human being, and learning to accept the world around you, and you're becoming more aware of what's happening in the world, and that things are alive and things are beautiful, and you won't notice all the negative things. It won't happen overnight, but it's happening, and it's going to continue happening. And they are here. They are here watching us. They are here watching us, and this is what they've been waiting for. And I like to say this: we are what the world's been waiting for. We, humanity, we are the disclosure. Our waking up and realizing that we have been manipulated, us waking up realizing our true origins, us waking up realizing our capabilities and what we can become in our futures, and that we can be part of the cosmic realm and be very well received. And we're realizing that we have been lied to, and this knowledge has been suppressed for all these times. But a lot of these things will be disclosed, and it will be a hard thing for some people to accept. But that's why it's a slow drip, is to get everybody acclimated to it all. You know, they can't do this just overnight, because it would be a shock. Everything is done in a particular way, a slow process. And by the time it all gets out and is done, you'll think it's always been this way. You won't even realize, because it's not like night and day. You know, it's not going to be that much of a change. It's going to be so slow and brought out that it's going to seem like our world has always been. And people are not even going to know that they're in the fourth dimension. It's just going to happen.
Thank you. Okay, we've got about 40 minutes, so at this point I'm going to say the rest of this interview. If anybody wants to listen to the rest of it, please subscribe on Patreon. I'm making that plea many times, and I haven't been getting much help with it. I actually lost my Patreon subscribers over the past several months when I ended up losing my job. I'm not at liberty to talk about that, but ever since then, and the trouble with that, I wasn't able to do a lot of shows dealing with everything with that, and I my Patreon subscribers.
Well, I belong to a lot of groups. I'll throw it out there and let a lot of people, maybe you can get a lot of people coming on and stuff. That'd be great.
I do intend to do more shows now. I actually am doing another show tomorrow with individual who just got whose interview I did with in the past covered me from YouTube. So I told her, hey, you want some justice for them kicking our interview off? Why don't you find my show again? She'll be on tomorrow. So
that's great.
Yeah, so I'm uploading our interview before I upload hers. I promise. But
well, I got a couple of questions for you. You probably don't want me to ask now, but
well, okay. After these questions, I'll make sure I I'll make a pay-per-view. So after these questions, we'll make a pay-per-view. What is it? The question.
Oh, you okay? That Arturian person, are you still in contact with them, or do you know how to get in touch with them? I would be curious.
No, it's just at that conference he claimed he was. He may have been he may be going to some of the other galactic spiritual informers conferences in the future. Like I think the next one's going to be Colorado. I can't think. Yeah, he was just there. So.
Yeah, so you don't know for sure. He claims that.
He sure did look like
he looked different.
He looked like what E.T. masquerading as a human would look like in regards to his like facial features or something like that. He did not look like a human, I will tell you that. So,
did you get like a vibe off of it, like like a sensation feeling or anything like that?
I didn't really pay attention to that at the time, but I don't remember.
That would be so cool.
All right. Well,